Susie,
Hey,
hello.
Adrian, hello,
How
hello.
are you?
I'm good.
Oh, I am so excited about this podcast. I cannot tell you. You have been doing some amazing rock star work over the last several decades, but especially over the last little while. I have a lot of people. Obviously, I went to a few of your events, and I have a lot of people asking me all kinds of questions about you. So we'll get to as many as we can in 30 minutes or less, right? And then there'll
Let's
be
go.
part two, part two. So, and just to be clear, and I know you asked me, well, what are we going to talk about? And I'm going to say, I said to you, all good things, Susie.
Yep.
Susie. So, what makes you the incredible rock star that you are? You've got a hustle like nobody's business. So, what drives you as an individual?
Oh, the drive comes really authentically inside. That from my first job in Toronto, I was working on adult diapers, and I have this passion inside, and I have this energy, and I'm a little bit on the spectrum, the autistic spectrum. So for 30 years, I didn't even know that I had passion and energy, and I have vision, and I have grandiose dreams, and I kind of have a way to communicate it that seems to resonate. It started with uh, simple things like triathlons. When I got
Things,
into
okay, for those listening, simple things like triathlons. So some people struggle to get to the gym and you're out there killing it. Like I love the photo that's going to be actually in the publication and you've got your helmet and you're, waving.
yeah,
Woo. Most people would be like on a respirator going, "Oh my
yeah.
goodness." But you're out there. Yeah. So on it. So, and I just want to backpedal for a moment. So you say that, you're sort of on the spectrum and you've got this weight and this energy about you.
Yeah, that I don't necessarily see.
But you manifest it. You must, because
Yeah.
knowing the things you do. So anyway, so back to your triathlons.
So I think it's kind of part of, I wake up between 4 and 5 every morning and I'm happy. It's just, there's, night owls and morning owls, and I'm excited. I love coffee, and that just kind of drives things. And, my first job at P&G, I left Montreal and I came to Toronto as one of two French Canadians in this big multinational, best place to learn brand building. I was the first non-business person hired. I had an electrical engineering degree. I was a total book nerd. And I'm in a business job that a lot of business grads want. And I was like, ooh, I don't really know what this is, but I kind of knew I was taking the step in the right direction. But my goal back then was to work out twice a week. I was in this head office. You were wearing nylons. You had the cafeteria downstairs, the lawyer's office upstairs, the lab downstairs. And my goal was to work out twice a week. I was 20 pounds heavier than I'm now. And, I was just like, in my 20s, I'm just trying to find my way. But I kind of started running, and then I really, did a 10K, and I really got excited. And then I heard about triathlons, like many people. I saw Julie Moss crawl on the finish line on NBC in whatever 1982 or something, and I was like, oh wow, like that's Hawaii and that's
Yeah.
crawling the finish line. So I kind of had like, okay, maybe back over there. It kind of started with weight loss, and I'm also been a VP of marketing for 10 years on weight loss brands. My first 12 years was in food and packaged goods, and then 10 years in weight loss. But I had my own I'm trying to lose 20 pounds. And it's back when the world was awful with misinformation.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that
Remember the low
foundation,
carb or
it
no
was,
carb
yeah.
diet or the,
Oh,
yeah.
and
So
that's a whole, like, I think we really should help empower women and men with like a whole podcast dedicated on the whole mess of the last 40 years. but it really just for me started like I'm trying to lose 10 and then 20 pounds. I have my first job. I'm kind of a fish out of water. I'm French. I barely speak English. I'm from Quebec. I'm not a business person, and I'm with blue suits, and I don't even know what Nielsen data is. And I started running. And then I kind of like inside of my gut, I'm kind of just like following this path. I realized, well, maybe if I, run, I'll go a bit longer. And then I did New York Marathon. Wow, what's
Wow.
next? Then, okay, then maybe a little triathlon. Wow, what's next? Maybe a longer one. And then I did coaching for triathlons because I read every single thing you could read, like pretty much everything I start. I work really hard and I'm not naturally talented. I just work hard. Like in Ironmans, it's very competitive. You have age groupers, you have pros. Like, no, no, no. I'm just like, I was just like, had a full time job and I just put a plan together and work the plan. So I think that's kind of my theme, that I don't have like natural gifts of DNA
Mhm.
on anything, but
I
I
disagree.
work the
I
plan.
disagree. I'm just going to say this. You've got a hustle like nobody's business. And that's where, sort of back to my original question is what motivates you, or what, kind of fuels you. And so from what I'm hearing you say, it's learning and it's mastering every single thing that you try, whether it's adult diapers or,
Yep.
these big, massive corporations. You're getting in, you're getting your hands dirty.
Yep.
You're going to learn from
Mhm.
everybody and do the work, have a plan, and you stick to it. And you have succeeded at everything.
Mhm. Well, I think, and not at everything, but I don't do much half-ass. Like, I don't know if we can say
That's
that
what
on
I
the
meant. When I
podcast.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, when I talk
Yeah.
about success, I don't talk about financial success,
Yeah.
because as far as I know, I don't think you get paid for all the marathons, although unless you
Yep.
win, that's fair enough. But I'm saying I feel like your success comes from your planning, your execution, the delivery, or the end of it for you. And then you're like, okay, I did that. Good job. And then you
Yep.
move on because you've
And
got this drive inside. If you could bottle that drive,
yeah,
Susie, woo.
I need to, and a couple of tips is that, I don't have an ego, and I've learned more from my failures than my successes. And we hear about these buzzes and stuff, but, you know, I really won't give up, and I'll work the plan. And it might mean pivot, and it might mean success we thought was over here, and then you pivot, 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 and it's over there. But I'm pretty relentless and perseverant, and I kind of have the gift of the ideas. Like I can kind of see something on the brands or in anywhere that others might not have seen before me. So it's
I
allowed me to
agree.
turn around brands that others haven't turned around. It's allowed me to see Love Good Fats. We were the first brand in North America as keto and with the words fat in. Like I read the same book that 10,000 other people read, but I was like, I'm going to launch a brand. And it was the same thing on Downy, and it was the same thing on Doritos. Like I saw things that others didn't see. Same thing with Better Chocolate's first functional chocolate. But I think the foundation though is, the hard work. But my
Yeah,
dad was, a son of
the
an
work
immigrant.
ethic, right?
Yeah,
Your work
I
ethic.
work. Yeah.
And I feel like, you and I will be texting, whether it's, 4 or 5 in the morning or 11 or 12, you're out doing your thing.
Hmm.
And the thing is, to me, you can't, I mean, I think that the work ethic that you have, I hope continues into many generations after us, but it is a work ethic that is important. It's almost like every successful person, and again, it depends on how you measure success. The way that
Hmm.
I measure success is very different. It's not only from a financial standpoint. For me, it's sort of what you've accomplished, what you've started, what you've been successful at. Like you said, the whole pivoting, that all in its own, some people are like, oh, I give up, but you pivot,
Yep.
you zig when you're supposed to zag, and you've got
Yep.
all of that amazing experience and knowledge. And so your work ethic really is second to none. And I feel like that is really the sort of what drives you to
Mhm.
be as successful as you are, regardless what you do in your personal or your
Yep.
business.
And you have to have some self-awareness because, if you just put your head down and you're driving, you may miss that, whoops, there's new information that comes in and you kind of have to alter how you're driving.
Hmm.
And you have to separate yourself from your ego. The single biggest mistake that happened with Love Good Fats, a failure, like the big F, led to the single biggest gift the company had, which is to change from a co-man that failed despite, 12 months of planning and 4 months of, upload the materials and get packaging from Korea and all that stuff. Full fail. So Whole Foods was waiting, everyone was waiting to have like very quick, rapid record 11-week pivot to another co-man that allowed us 24 months later to sell $7 million a month and 47 million for the year. Without that failure in April 2020, 2017, we would not have been able to supply 47 million a few years later.
That is
It's the same
that's
with better
unheard
chocolate.
of.
Yeah. And
And
it's the same. So I think you need kind of a combination. You can't just put your head down, boom, boom, boom. Like you kind of have to be able to come up for air and down into the weeds. And as a founder, I've been in 5 multinationals. Most people in multinationals will fail miserably in CPG startups, like miserably. Don't hire them. They shouldn't go in there. If you hire them, it's just a very expensive mistake. I can guarantee you that. And I'm sure a lot of the fellow founders who've hired big CPG executives have found the same thing. Because you need that unique skill of being in the weeds and knowing how the mechanics of a startup works, being scrappy and grassroots, but also the experience of the multinational gives you the executive maturity, gives you all the case studies. I've worked on like over 100 brands. I've had 30 years times 10 brands of annual marketing planning. Like you have the gift of case studies and human studies, but then you have to be able to roll up your sleeve and, make the presentation, raise the money, know how to set up the SKUs, and be in the weeds to understand how you pivot when you start up a brand. So it's a unique skill set that you kind of have to be both.
well, I think
Come up for air and
yeah, but you're also saying, one of my favorite sayings is, and people are like, you okay? What's in that coffee? But to me, I love rejection. I love the word no. I love doors slammed in my face. Why? Failures, my favorite. Why? Because that's where growth happens. It doesn't
Mhm.
happen when you're sitting comfy on a couch eating potato chips.
Yep.
And, I always look at rejection as redirection. No doesn't mean no, not ever. No means not now, not today, not from me, not at this time, whatever the case is. And I feel like what you're saying is the most important thing and the most important takeaway that you could ever teach somebody as a founder, as an entrepreneur, or as a business person is that you're going to fail. You need to know what to do. You always have to have a plan B, C, D. And if
Yeah.
you don't, you need to be able to have that resilience to
Mhm.
say, bring the team together. We need a plan B.
Yeah.
Is that
And
what you're
most of the time, this is super, super important. And I think for all the entrepreneurs listening, most of the times that you get a no for, no for money, no for listings, no for production, no for the cost that you need to get, you really want to pause and make sure, again, always separate out the ego. Make sure you understand the why, because
saying?
often the no is a gift. The no is a not right now, and it's a gift. There's a reason that, the big retailers, the Krogers or the Walmarts or the Loblaws, like there's a reason that perhaps you're getting a not right now that is for the better of your company, but you need to be able to pull it apart and you need to be able to say, okay, like what happened and what are they looking for? Because that becomes your key success factors. Then you update your business plan and now you have your straw man. Okay, this is what I'm targeting. So for Love Good Fats, we had velocities, we had doors, but step one is doors, step two is velocities. And the no, not right now gives you precious feedback that you need to know what to do with, to be able to kind of say, okay, Whole Foods gives gifts all the time, right? They've been incredible for the last 8 years. They'll say, actually, this would work better with our consumers. Hallelujah, right? Like, you're getting feedback from retailers that will tell you probably what could do even better.
Mm.
And you're better to change it before you launch than when you're on the shelves, because that's an expensive transition.
And the fact that you talk about ego, I mean, I don't think ego really, I shouldn't say this because I know I'm going to get a lot of comments saying, well, you need ego in this or that, whatever the case is. For me, I don't think ego really belongs in being a founder, an entrepreneur, or as a kind person. That's my personal take. I don't want anybody to get upset, but it is so important. Not, and, people have always said this to me, and my father was an entrepreneur, opened up one of the first restaurants called the Domino in downtown at Yonge and Eglinton in, I don't even know what year, maybe in the late 60s, early 70s, whatever the case may be. And he always said, you cannot take business personally. And I'm like,
Correct.
I
Yep.
still to this day struggle because, these are our babies. These are
Yep.
our, like, you gave birth, you created this beautiful thing. So I get it. I get you can't take it personally. But what I have to like reframe that, because to me, not taking it personally, I can't do it. So what I do is exactly what you said. It's, what can I learn from this? So
Yep.
I'm not going to take it personally, but I try to pull information from people and figure out, how could I have done better? How could I do different?
Yep. Yeah, and it's not, that's the biggest advice. And I co-founded Founders Helping Founders with Karen, and we have I don't know, 140 very active members, and we have 300 or so.
Your members are great. I'm
Yeah,
just going to say this now. Big shout out to them, because I do a lot of events. I don't think I've been to an event where every single person is so invested and they want to be there. And as a founder and as an entrepreneur, sometimes it's a freaking lonely world,
it's
right?
very lonely,
And it's a
and
lonely road, but you have created this tight knit community where everybody just wants to help everybody. It's so
yeah,
beautiful. So,
and it's evolved. And part of it is, I have 5 multinationals before I hit 50 and I decided to launch my own brand. So I kind of have the gift of, seasoned business executive and experience. So a lot of the founders they come from different backgrounds. And that's like the biggest piece of advice that I can give, is just, especially to women, and I don't want to stereotype, but there's the business problem that you're trying to solve, and then there's a decision or there's new information. It's not personal. Like, just figure out what is the problem, and don't respond in a way that it's the ego that's responding, and don't take it personal, and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, there's issues, you have to solve the issues. One of the biggest fails that we had, again, with Love Good Fats, wind up being really successful. And I could have kind of said, oh, this person will sue them or whatever it is, right? Like, oh, this, we're owed this. But in the end, karma kind of had its way to come around. And that first failure turned into one of my closest colleagues and a fellow board member now for years and years, and a big investor, and hopefully lifelong relationship. But I could have been like, oh, da da da, like, and I was even getting advice around that. No, no, no. Like, just, there's things that happen for a reason.
yes,
You conduct yourself with
that's it.
professionalism. You're trying your best to kind of do the best decisions. You maintain very high standards of integrity, and the rest will take care of itself.
I love that. I feel that there's no such thing as coincidence. Even you and I meeting,
Yep.
that was just hilarious.
Yep.
And I'm going to go back to how we met and the story that you told, which I want you to kind of retell to our audience, because I absolutely love it to this day. But I feel that things do happen for a reason. And, you might not know that reason. It could be something very tragic. It could be
Yep.
something super great. It could be a meeting. Whatever the case is, there's always a purpose. There's always a bigger plan. And I feel that if we look at things that way, it will
Hmm.
get us through so much tragedy or grief, headache, and heartache. And just know that through every negative thing that happens, there's so much good that's going to come out of that. Even though you can't see it today
You
or
can't see it right
tomorrow,
now. Yep.
you will, because hindsight, all these therapists are like, oh, don't look back. I'm like, why the hell not? I want to see how far I've come,
Hmm.
and I want to see who I was a year ago or 10 years ago.
Yep.
I think it's great to see how, we've grown. And talking about growing, so when I first met you, it was at an event, it was online. It was several years ago, and you were in the car, I believe, with your daughter, and you talked about how you first started delivering granola bars and your bars, and you would wrap
Yeah.
them up and you'd
Yep.
drive. Can you share that with us? Now,
Oh
like you
man.
said, to where you
Like,
are today, you got to look back and
yeah.
share that beautiful
So
story with us.
Love Good Fat started at my little house in Leaside, single mom for 10 years, dining room table that was pulled out of the garbage. The neighbors were getting rid of it, and I picked it up, polished it, and had a new dining room table. Um, and it really started really scrappy. Google Maps. I did a post on Facebook, and if you go to my Facebook and you go to my marketplace, the post is still there. And it said I was selling my bars. I had 35 people in Leaside say, oh, I want a free sample. So I was like, hey, I just launched a company out of my house, Facebook Marketplace. We're going to be at Whole
Hold
Foods
on, I'm
in
going
like,
to stop you right there. So whoever is going to say I can't freaking do it, let's go back. Dining room table from the garage, from the garbage. Single mom for several years. You still figured out how to start a business with free samples because you knew, you
yeah.
believed, you had the rock star confidence, you had the belief inside yourself, this is going to work. And you
Oh,
gave
and I was a bit naive. And the thing is, I had a 12-year-old Honda Fit car with no air conditioning, and you couldn't even fix the air conditioning because the frame was crooked. So it would have cost more to fix the air conditioning than to buy a new car. And I had my bike. So I literally started with, hey, there's the new Whole Foods in Leaside. I, of course, knew the store manager, the buyer. I would go every 4 days, and I would count how many boxes, how many bars I've sold, and I would write it on my little sticky notes. And
okay,
then I said, okay, who wants free samples? Because they're sold at Whole Foods. I went to 35 homes, and I still have the Google map with Nikki.
I
We
love
would go from house to house in the little car, and I had to have a cooler because the bars were melting, and I would drop
you had
samples
no
with a
air
little sticky.
conditioning, right? You
No.
had no air conditioning, right?
So, but I got a better, I saved, I mean, I drove the same car for 14 years because I needed to save to buy my daughter a car, and she didn't want the car in the end. So, but
Yeah,
it's
things
okay.
you do as parents, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, that to me, I love that story. It stayed with me. It resonated with me because, there's a lot of, amazing people that have, businesses handed down from folks and parents and loved ones or whatever the case may be. But this is such a grassroots. I'm driving in my broken Honda with no air conditioning because I remember you were saying about the cooler that the bars kept melting. And then
Yeah.
we're talking about your bike. And that's what I'm telling people. I mean, there is not a freaking reason in the world that you cannot live your dreams because you will find a way. If you
Mhm.
believe, like, that's what I'm talking about, your hustle. You believed in your mind this was going to work. There was no other choice for you. It didn't mean it was going to be a straight path. It didn't mean you had it all mapped out and it worked perfectly the way you thought,
Yeah.
right? But you still had that confidence, the belief that this was not going to fail.
Well, it was a calculated risk. Nikki was, I think 18, and I grew up sharing a bedroom with my mom for 13 years. My twin brother had the other bedroom, small little apartment on the fifth floor in north part of Montreal. And I sat down with Nikki and I said, because I took some of her university savings to start the company. And I sat down with her and I said, which, I don't know if I recommend doing this because she was a bit young, but we kind of said, like, what's the worst that can happen? And I remember she said, Mummy, the worst we can happen is we move into an apartment. Like, hello, right? I spent the first like 30 years of my life in an apartment. So what, right? Like, okay,
Exactly.
the
Talk
worst that can
about
happen.
humble
Yeah.
beginnings, though. Humble
Hmm.
beginnings. And
Hmm.
the thing that I love too is, you're sitting here teaching your kids, because you could sit there and, I've got the four boys. You can teach your children the ABCs. You can teach them
Yep.
skating and swimming and triathlons, right? But I think you actually doing it has taught her, and probably your son, so
Yep.
much in life, because they watched you create something out of, not like I say,
Yep.
something out of nothing, something out of a dream. You
Yep.
followed your dream,
And
right?
later in life, and my son's at McGill now. He's just first semester, and he's already an entrepreneur. He's just like, okay, I'm ready. I'm like, and he's been blessed that his dad, his donor dad, is an entrepreneur, and he's doing work for two gentlemen that are uber successful entrepreneurs. He's got the bug, but he was with
I
me,
love
right? He was 8, and the Shopify apps, we did, the first Easter promotion, we did 20% off, bing, 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 bing. So we're biking to
it.
school, and the phone is blowing up because we had a record weekend for Easter on the Shopify promotion app. Like you see videos of him like putting the samples together in little bags and stuff. So
I
he
love
kind
that.
of was there with like the steps. And I think, you got to put in the work. You don't get nothing for nothing.
No, and that's the thing. You don't, but I'm more saying, like, you are role modeling something that I don't believe. And I always say, and people say actually, that I've got a PhD in life experience, but have never gone to school past, outside doing courses and whatnot, past high school. I feel that learning, with hands-on learning, is so much different. Like what you have taught them, I don't even think they could maybe learn in Harvard. I'm just saying, because they saw it firsthand. They saw the
Mm-hmm.
success, they saw the pivots, they saw the failures, right? And they saw
Yep.
everything. And that to me is worth its weight in gold.
Yep. It's
I,
a yeah, so it's a tough journey. Hopefully, we can all kind of do our mark through career and through personal. And I've certainly kind of had a lot of challenges, and a lot of things didn't go the way I wanted. But you pick yourself up and you kind of say, okay, what's next? What did I learn? What will I do differently? And then you're armed with more and more of the wisdom and the experience, and then hopefully, that just kind of finds its way to kind of where you're going, while
absolutely.
you enjoy the journey, right? I really,
Absolutely.
every morning I enjoy my mornings, and I love
Oh,
my yoga, and
and hold on. I do have two more questions, but I'll
yeah,
save one for the next
okay.
podcast. Two, I have to ask you. We have to touch on the fact that we're both love our fur babies. So talk to me about your passion about rescuing animals.
Yeah, so I have 3 rescues. 2 are with me right now, and the other one, my little Chihuahua, is with Melanie. It really just started again. No big master plan, because I didn't have dogs on and off for like 15 years, and then just my daughter had a little pug as a kind of single mom household mummy. Can I get a dog, like, as a transition? And it was, I was working the 9 to 5, so we had the dog sitter, and it was just a little, she was tiny, tiny little pug. So I didn't, I wasn't a dog person for sure. And then we knew that little pug was going to pass. So I'm like, okay, I want to backfill the dog. And then I joined like 20 different rescue groups, and COVID happened to be at that time. And then I couldn't even get like a rescue. Like, it was crazy. And then the stars aligned, got one little rescue, little Chihuahua that is the best in the world, although he'll kill you if he doesn't know you. And then Nikki was like, no, I don't want a Chihuahua. And I was like, oh, so then, okay, well then this one and that one. And we kind of had 2 special, well, they're all 3 special needs. So the Chihuahua is beat up, missing a leg, and he's from Austin. He lived in a warehouse for 7 years, and he's missing body parts. um, the Egypt little fur ball was left to die in a fisherman's net in Cairo, because he was a reject from the bad breeder. So he got popped
My
over to
heart
the,
is like,
yeah, it's, So he got popped over to the rescue and he was first in line. So I picked him right away. Like I had 1,000 dogs to pick from, and you get videos and you're like, okay, I think I want this one. So anyway, I picked Charlie from that awesome rescue with Snookies. And then Victoria was like a panic, DM on Facebook. But at the same time, she had just had a tragic accident. She was a street dog. She was 2. She's the sweetest mixed lab something, and the rescue in Greece, like she lost a leg on the street, and then she got flown emergency by Air Canada, and she landed, and then they're like, help, we need a family. And I had filled out all the forms. So then I wind up having the 2 of them plus the little chihuahua before, and it's just saved my life. Like COVID was really tough. I had a business at Love Good Fats. I closed nearly 11 million of fundraising, but it was very, very stressful when COVID hit. We were, on the go portable bars, tanked 40%. Brands were going out of business. Like, it was really stressful to pivot,
Yes.
pivot, and downsize and adjust. So the dog saved me. Like, it was incredible. Now, I started walking 3 times a day, and
Yeah, see how you're very humble, where it's like, really, you saved them. I think you saved each other, but
yeah,
you give that credit to these beautiful creatures and their stories. Oh my goodness. So they
yeah,
are so blessed to have you. And, I really do feel that there are so many things that we can do as individuals, which and that will be a podcast for another time, but I know there's some rescues that you're attached to, and we kind of communicated on Facebook, that are doing wonderful work. And it's something as simple as dropping off, as opposed to like your old blankets, throwing them into Goodwill.
yeah.
Not that that's not a good thing, but
No,
they always need that
rescue.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff. Some vets don't even know that some of the expired or almost expired food can go to the rescues and whatnot. So, and obviously we can donate our homes or our time or
yep.
foster. So we can chat about all that fun stuff after. I know you have to go. I'm going to end up with one really important question. I'm going to put you on the spot. No, I won't. You've got an answer for everything. That's one of the many things I love about
Go.
you. What does it mean to you to be unbreakable? What does the word unbreakable mean to
it
you?
it just means that you have the resilience to just get through it. No matter what happens, it's not going to break you. It's part of life's journey. You'll get through it. Just bounce back. We can all be a bit of rubber, and everything will take care of itself in time. So there's nothing really that we should consider to break us in its
Our
entirety.
soul, per
Our
se.
soul,
And I love that. It's the same. It's the resilience of, that's why the whole I am affirmation and being unbreakable, it's whatever, you say to yourself. Some people look in
yeah,
the mirror and they're not so kind to themselves. That's why when, I do a lot of the Rockstar confidence and the coaching and whatnot,
yeah,
the I am affirmation is so incredibly important. So yeah, you're talking my language. I am unbreakable no matter what is going to be in front of you, obstacles, struggles, you're getting through it, over it, army crawling underneath
yeah.
it, right?
And Adrian, affirmations are really key. My daughter has mental health, and one of the challenges is she struggles with the positive affirmations of herself. I started in my 20s, 30 years ago, with positive affirmations. I didn't even know what it was. And it was around visualization to cross the finish line at Ironman. Because Ironman, is 10 to 12 hours, 13 hours. I went to Hawaii, the lava fields. I was crying on my bike. I was crying on the run. I had 5 bags of IV once I crossed the finish line. I was that drained.
Oh,
It's
there's
my
your baby.
Victoria. Um, and, I was learning affirmations back then. I would visualize the hard parts of the race. Had trained myself, like I was doing 15 minutes a day of visualization. It was like rookie. Now there's apps and there's like everything and there's therapy. But back then it wasn't really popular. But that allowed me to affirm the positive. So when you're in the lowest of low, you're drained of all, hydration or whatnot, and your mind starts being negative, you reframe and you like, you could literally see, I would race with my heart rate monitor. You could see that affirmations will decrease your heart rate.
Oh,
Like, because you're just able to kind of just talk yourself into getting into rhythm. And like, the whole idea with long distance is the more you can preserve, so the more you can kind of stay calm and be efficient and lower your heart rate, the more you can have the energy for like 5 hours from now, 7 hours from now, and 10 hours from now. So affirmations are really key. A lot of women are hard on themselves and not kind to themselves. So, if any gift out there, especially when you make a mistake or you have a failure, be kind to yourself. Like,
mm,
don't start bashing yourself. Like, just, okay, this happened. What did I learn? Why did it happen? What do I want to do differently? And then, importantly, don't let it beat you up. You know,
yeah,
you want to kind of be able to reframe with that, because that's the only thing that we have is our energy. Everything else kind of comes out of our energy. The moment you lose your energy, like it's going to be hard to get stuff done. So preserve that energy. Don't
and
let
guard
anyone,
it.
including yourself, beat
Yep.
yourself up.
And guard it with your life and be,
Hmm.
like you said, as opposed to giving to all other people, give a little bit to yourself.
Yeah.
Some of the people that I've coached in the past too, and we talk about how they self-talk. And the only person that you should really have a really good relationship with, or the first person, is yourself. Because to
Mhm.
be good to yourself and kind to yourself,
Kind.
whether it's when you look in the mirror, whether it's, during a failure, whether you feel like you're letting somebody down, it is the way you talk to, you wouldn't talk to a stranger.
Correct.
Some things that people say to themselves, I'm like, oh my God, you're one of the nicest people I know. Why would
Yeah.
you say that to
Just
yourself?
be kind.
It's the way that they feel, the confidence and whatnot. But again, I so thank you. Big love, big hugs. I didn't even get a chance to tell you that it's almost, I think it is empty. No, I think they left me one. We love, 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 love the
The
brand.
best pure
Let
chocolate out
alone
there with
the
zero
vitamin.
added sugar.
Yeah, this is the one with the vitamin.
Yep.
So I get to eat my favorite food and it's healthy. What has the world come to? Thanks to Suzie.
Thanks, Adrian.
We'll talk soon.
Perfect.
Thank you.